Chessplosion is a game made by C.T. Matthews, where you try to blow up your opponents with chess pieces and solve chess-like puzzles using said bombs. The best part is how you don't even have to know much about chess to get started playing. You move in a simple grid-like pattern, and the pieces you put down will explode in the pathway perspective of said piece. I know there's a solo story mode, but I really want to focus on the multiplayer for a moment. It's actually really good, and funnily enough, it has rollback netcode. Let that sink in for a moment. A chess game has better online play than most AAA games. Playing an online match is as simple as choosing matchmaking or making a lobby. Unfortunately, not many people are online, but I hope to change that with this video. So if you're feeling spunky like me, do what I did and buy 5 copies of the game, hold your Patreon supporters hostage, and force them to have a good time. But seriously, a big thank you to my patrons for helping me gather online gameplay. Without them, things would have been awkward. During our spree of intellectual terrorism, we had a blast, pun intended, trying to outsmart each other by strategically placing our bombs. However, some people had other ideas.
Oh, I hit myself. Spam!
Spam doesn't work, but that's why I won. You gotta think.
Too bad, spam! Spam!
You're gonna get us all killed!
That's my job! Spam!
Oh.
I'll play this like a fighting game.
Oh, no!
It works!
I murdered myself, actually.
I refuse to lose to someone that spams. While I love the chaos of 4-player matches, I do wish the board was just a little bit bigger to incentivize strategic play. Eventually, I did some one-on-one matches, and without the chaos of multiple people, the game really shines here in this area. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you can chain bombs in this game. And if utilized properly, you could do some really devious setups to trap your opponents. Gotcha! Ooh, the setup was real on that one. And that does it for multiplayer. Short, sweet, and really reliable. We only ran into one connection problem.
Yo, oh, hell yeah.
Let's go. Okay.
Yo, Yogi, let's go.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
3.
Let's go!
Let's go!
But otherwise, everything went smoothly. Now, before we move on to the single-player content, while editing this video, I was able to reach out to C.T. Matthews and ask them for an interview and play a few rounds of the game. Little did I know, this guy is an EVO champion, and he practically handed my ass to me. To put it simply, he won some rounds, I won not as many. My favorite round was when he trapped me and forced me to die by my own explosions by blocking me.
Nope.
But I'm gonna be honest, I expected to lose, and it was glorious watching him play. While I had him hostage, I held a short Q&A, where I got to ask him some questions pertaining to the game's conception, development, and future plans.
What are some basic facts about yourself and things you've worked on? Hi, I'm C.T. Matthews, I'm an indie game developer in the UK, and I made Chessplosion. I've also done lots of game industry work as a programmer for studios like Lionhead Studios, Lab Zero Games, and Yacht Club Games. And I'm also a competitive fighting game player. When making Chessplosion, did you run into any developer roadblocks or creative roadblocks early on? So the tennis mode was originally going to be the only mode in the game, but it ended up being way too hard for new players to keep track of what was happening. So I added the other modes and I changed tennis into a side mode. And for most of the early development, queens were overpowered and kings were underpowered. So I made queens shoot slow projectiles instead of beams, and I gave kings the proximity mine effect. Is Chessplosion your first game? I started making games for fun around 2004, and I've been a programmer in the game industry since 2009, but Chessplosion is the first indie game that I finished and released by myself. It's also the first time I've released my art and music as part of the game. As of December 2021, what do you plan to add to the current build of the game that's not out yet? I plan on adding a brand new single player mode in January or February to add more variety and replay value for people who want to keep playing single player after they've beaten all the other modes. This new mode includes some new types of ground and other tiles that weren't in the original modes, so I might add some new multiplayer maps that use these new tiles. Extra features for speedrunners would be cool to add too. And right now I'm working on improvements to online lobbies, and I plan on adding other online improvements such as spectating. Do you plan to make a Chessplosion 2 or keep updating the current game? So after the new single player mode, the other single player features, the online improvements, I eventually want to start making another game. I got lots of ideas for what my next game might be. Some of them are similar to Chessplosion, some of them are completely different, and I've currently got no idea which one I'm going to make. Do the little bird characters have names? They don't have official names, but I call them chess ducks when I'm talking about them. I haven't named any of the individual ones yet though. Is there any sort of deep lore that you'd like game theory to cover? No. Sorry game theory. Evo victory? Question mark? Yes. Skullgirls was one of the 5 games at EVO Online 2021, and I got first place in the European tournament. I love competing in fighting games, and I'd love to make my own fighting game in the future, although I don't know if I'm good enough at animation to do that. Question, why are you British? I was born this way. Sorry. Is this game a thinly veiled critique of the socioeconomic policies of Bosnia? It could be, but if it is, it was veiled enough that I didn't even notice I was doing it. Any other board games you want to make? Not yet. So I love making action games more than anything else. I said earlier that I've got a bunch of ideas for new games and I'm not sure which one to make. Every single one of those ideas is an action game. So it could happen one day, but it would probably only happen if I randomly have another idea for combining an action game and a board game, like Chessplosion. Question, did the movie Night Moves, that's Night with a K, inspire you to make exploding chess? I hadn't heard of that movie till now. It sounds wild, so no, it did not inspire me. But I've seen a lot of recent indie games taking influence from the 90s PC game Night Moves, which was a puzzle action game by the designer of Tetris about a knight that moves the way that a chess knight moves in real time. Which chess piece would you hang out with on a Tuesday night? I have no idea how to answer that question, but the knight's my favourite looking Chessplosion piece, so I'll go with the knight. Is it true that the queen is having an affair with the rook? It's not an affair. All of the Chessplosion chess pieces are poly. I guess in saying that just now, I've now invented some lore that game theory should cover, thus ruining my answer to a previous question. Sorry everybody. So what's your thoughts on the Tennyson Gambit? The regular one seems pretty good, seems like a fun gambit, although I'm nowhere near good enough at chess to know how well it works at higher levels of play and how actually good it is to help you learn at chess. I saw a YouTube video on the ICBM variation and that one seems pretty strong. Thank you so much for making a video about me and for playing Chessplosion and caring about it. It's why I make games.